Welcome to the Gladiator Guide, a show where I take a combat sports fighter and I give them an overall rating based on 5 career indicators, with the 5 being strength of resume, professional record, style effectiveness, damage taken, and career milestones. These 5 career indicators will help me judge the fighters overall as a collective. I will give each category a rating out of 20 overall, and once I've completed each one, the totals will be added together, ultimately to reveal said fighter's overall out of 100. To achieve this, I'll be walking you through the fighter's career, grading it as we go. After all of that's been completed, I'll add the fighter to the Gladiator game. Now that you're all caught up, if you enjoy the content, it'd mean a lot if you subscribed and dropped a like. I'm passionate about this channel, so the quality of my content will only go up from here. Thanks for tuning in. Let's get to the Gladiator Guide. Kyler "The Matrix" Phillips began his career in mixed martial arts, fighting for the World Fighting Federation in February of 2015, quickly going 4-0 with all finishes just by the end of the year. Fast forward to March of 2016, similarly to his amateur career, The Matrix would go 4-0 to earn a spot on Dana White's Contender Series Season 1, Episode 4. Kyler would go on to get a TKO in the first 46 seconds of the fight. Instead of being signed, The Matrix was given an opportunity to compete on The Ultimate Fighter Season 27, where he was eliminated in the quarterfinals against Brad Katona by decision. Kyler would then go on to suffer his first professional defeat, a split decision loss to eventual UFC bantamweight Victor Henry. Despite the setbacks, a determined Phillips scored a first-round head kick knockout at LFA 59 to earn a shot in the UFC at just 25 years old. The Matrix made his debut in February of 2020, where he won by unanimous decision, while showcasing exactly why he's called the Matrix. Throwing upwards of 200 strikes with a mixture of takedowns, sub-attempts, and spinny shit, the Matrix is exactly the kind of fighter any fan would enjoy to watch, regardless of if they're a casual or hardcore. This fight would even earn Fight of the Night honors and set Phillips up for a fight against Cameron Else. Against Else, the Matrix would go on to earn his first octagon finish in the second round by TKO. Now 2-0 in the UFC, Kyler would get the step up in competition he deserved and the spotlight he needed, fighting on the undercard of UFC 259 against Song Yadong, a rising bantamweight prospect in his own right. The Matrix would go on to win a unanimous decision in a back-and-forth fight, propelling his record to 3-0 in the organization. His next bout would come against Raulian Paiva, a fight Kyler was dominating in the first round, dropping and rocking Paiva multiple times. The second round was much closer, with Paiva slightly outstriking Kyler and Kyler utilizing more of his grappling. The third round was much the same to the second, and the fight was controversially given to Paiva by majority decision. Now 3-1 in the promotion, the Matrix would rebound with a third round triangle armbar over Marcelo Rojo, improving his record overall to 10-2. Phillips had a bout scheduled for next weekend, actually, against Rafael Sunsao, but sadly it fell through, and now we're waiting for news of his next bout. Alright, now we can plug in what we know and figure out the overall total for my boy Kyler Phillips. Starting with professional record, 10-2 is a good record to have for where he's at in his career, especially when both of those losses are split decisions. That's not bad at all. It's far from perfect, of course, and he has a lot more fights that to be had in his career. So for this, I'm just going to give him a 14 out of 20. Not the greatest score. Like I said, could be better. I'm sure it will be better in the future. He just has a lot more room to improve and more fights to be had. For style effectiveness, this is where I feel like Kyler is going to get the best score out of any of these categories. Just because you don't need to have an in-depth resume. You don't need to have a bunch of fights and wins and a pretty record. You don't need to have all these championships in order to have an effective style, which he does. He has ridiculously clean striking. He throws 3 4-piece combinations ending with spin kicks, ending with changing levels to the body, to the legs, to the head. It's creative, it's fast, it's fluid, and he can chain it into his wrestling. It's really impressive. If you haven't seen it, I highly recommend you go back and you watch some of his fights. He truly is a generational type of talent in that bantamweight division. So for style effectiveness, I'm going to give Kyler a 17 out of 20. Like I said, I think it's the best score he is going to get out of any of these because he's so young in his career. But his style is just so fun to watch and so effective. Now, in terms of damage taken or longevity, he hasn't taken much. Almost at all. The 2 split decision losses he has on his record are the fights where he took the most damage. The only fights where he wasn't completely in control the entire way through. So his longevity is going to be pretty high so far. He hasn't taken much, almost at all. So for now in his career, I don't want to give him a perfect score or even an 18 because I feel like he hasn't been through enough of a career to really give him something that high. I don't know how well his chin is. I don't know if he can really take those hits because we haven't seen him have to. We haven't seen him be the nail yet, just mainly the hammer. So for longevity, I'm going to give him a 16 out of 20. Another pretty decent score. Now moving on to strength of resume. This is where his scores are going to be a bit lower because he really doesn't have a resume at all. The best win he has is Song Yadong. Song's ranked in the bantamweight division in the top 10 as well. But still, that's the only really notable win he has. He has a lot of room to improve in this area. So for resume, I'm going to give him a 6 out of 20. And now for accolades. Again, not much on his resume. He didn't win any regional belts to my knowledge. If he did, it doesn't really matter. It doesn't mean much. He lost on The Ultimate Fighter when he was there, so that was an opportunity to add an accolade that he sadly missed out on. So yeah, for accolades, I'm going to have to give it a 6 out of 20. You made it to the UFC. You have a 4-1 record. 4 wins in the UFC is great, but it's not anywhere near what a lot of other fighters have. Now we can tally up all of the totals for the 5 categories or the 5 career indicators. And when you add them all up, we get an overall of 62. It might seem low, especially if you watch my last video on John Jones. But again, this fighter's only 10-2. He's not John Jones. He's not somebody that's been around for a decade plus racking up legacy points. He still has to do all of that. And obviously what's going to come with that is having a lower overall than a majority of the roster. But that's okay because I genuinely believe that Kyler has all of the potential to become a UFC bantamweight champion in 2024, I feel like. Now for my favorite part of all of this, we can add Kyler to the Gladiator game. He's now in the roster. Shout out to my brother Eddie or Hashish Hands. I'm going to leave the link to his TikTok and his Twitch down below. I'll catch you guys later.